Wiggle your fingers. In the time it took you to think that and your fingers actually moving, many things happened in your body. Your brain, which is part of your central nervous system, sent an electrical signal through your spinal cord to your motor neurons, which carried that signal to the muscles in your fingers. Then your muscles received the signal and responded by undergoing some chemical changes that caused your muscles to contract. All of this in a fraction of a second. In the next 2 lectures, you'll get a clearer picture of what is happening when you move your body. In this lecture, we will dive into what is actually happening within muscle cells during contraction. And in the next lecture, you'll learn more about the nervous system and how it delivers messages around the body. Back at the start of the physiology part of this course, we learned the 3 different types of muscle tissue: cardiac, smooth, and skeletal muscles. In this lecture, we're going to focus on skeletal muscles and the process of contraction and relaxation that allows us to move our bodies. If you remember, we learned that skeletal muscles are innervated. The axons of motor neurons connect to muscle fibers. This allows the nervous system to send those signals to the muscles, telling them when to contract. Skeletal muscles are made up of bundles of muscle cells, which are also known as muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is a long cell with many nuclei. If we zoom in on a single muscle fiber, we'll see that it's made up of many long cylindrical organelles. These are called myofibrils. Now let's zoom in even further on a myofibril. Each myofibril is made up of repeating units called sarcomeres. These sarcomeres have the components that actually allow the muscle to contract and relax. It's made up of 2 types of filaments, actin and myosin. You may remember that we learned that skeletal muscle is striated, or has a striped appearance. These stripes are actually the repeating pattern of sarcomeres in the muscle tissue. Again, sarcomeres are made up of 2 proteins called actin and myosin. Actin is a thin filament and is attached to the myosin, which are thicker filaments. These 2 filaments work together to allow the muscle to contract and relax. Now pause the video and answer these questions from participation assignment 15. During muscle contraction, the actin and myosin work together to contract or shorten the muscle. You can think of it like climbing a rope. Think of the actin as the rope, and the myosin like your hands, pulling you up the rope. So let's look at what is happening in the sarcomeres when a skeletal muscle contracts. First, we're going to need some ATP. Moving our bodies takes energy, and we use some ATP every time a skeletal muscle contracts. The ATP molecule binds to the myosin. This breaks the connection between actin and myosin. So if you think back to our rope climbing analogy, this is like taking your hand off the rope. Then that ATP molecule breaks down, releasing energy. This energy changes the shape of myosin. In this more high energy shape, the myosin is able to reach further down the actin filament. In our rope climbing example, this is extending your arm further up the rope. Then you need to grab the rope at the higher point, so the myosin reattaches to the actin filament at the new location. Okay, so the myosin has stretched forward and reattached further down on the actin, but the muscle hasn't actually contracted yet. To do that, the myosin snaps back to its original shape. But since it is still attached to the actin, it pulls the actin filament along with it, shortening the fiber. This is like pulling yourself up the rope, shortening your arm by bending it. Now pause and answer these questions. We have different types of muscle fibers in our bodies that allow us to move in different ways. These fibers differ in their twitch rate, or the duration between the contraction and relaxation of the muscle. Slow twitch muscle fibers have a longer duration between contraction and relaxation, so a slower twitch. They are for sustaining activity for a long period of time, such as in endurance running. The slow twitch muscle fibers are surrounded by dense capillary beds and oxygen-storing molecules to help sustain that activity. When we sprint or do other quick movements, we are relying mostly on fast twitch muscle fibers, which twitch about 10 times faster than slow twitch fibers. However, they have much less endurance. Now answer a few more questions to finish up this lecture.